So we're coming into the new year, and there's a lot of new people coming into CrossFit boxes. And personally, I love CrossFit. It's something that I love, but I love fitness in general, and I also love the fact that people are out there doing these things. I just want them to be healthy while doing it. And a part of the things that I see as a doctor is that they get into things where they can't handle. Maybe their ego gets a little bit a hold of themselves, and they start doing things that they shouldn't be doing. What are some of the things that you see as a box owner when a new member comes in? What are some of the things that you see that maybe are barriers to their success or to their goals?
Just starting the right way. So like he was saying, some people come with big egos and they think they can do more than they can actually do. Some people actually come in scared. So like they're afraid, because CrossFit's scary. People that haven't done this, that haven't been working out, it can definitely be a little intimidating. So starting the right way, and then starting is the important part, not necessarily how you start, where you start, why you start.
And you know, more to your point is, you know, some CrossFitters, when you're at the box, can be a little bit intimidating. For the ones that are a little bit more advanced, and this doesn't happen all the time, but remember, like, we all started at the same place at the same time, at some point in time, right? We all decided that we all wanted to be healthier, better, and, you know, improve ourselves some way. And so maybe, you know, giving a helping hand, giving some encouragement to that person that may be a little bit timid or scared of, like, hey man, this is, and I get it, CrossFit sometimes is very intimidating, but it doesn't have to be like that. And usually 98% of the time the community is very awesome. But more so back to what we were talking about, you know, again, another barrier to me is that patients might have the movement. They actually might even have flexibility to do so, to do these movements, but they might not have the coordination. And give yourself some time, you know? It takes some time to learn this movement under weight, under stress, under time, under intensity. What are some other things that you find are some things that maybe some people need to take into consideration when they're coming into a new box?
Patience is huge. Patience is probably one of the single most. We want something right now. Everybody wants, I want to squat 400 pounds. Everybody, well, I want that in 6 months. Well, that adding 100 pounds to a squat is not a realistic goal.
No, it's crazy, right?
So
if you add in 10 pounds in a month, that's like PR. It's like crazy.
It's just grasping, defining patience, and then putting that into your training program on a daily basis is pretty huge. So no matter what the board says your workout is supposed to be that day, being able to scale up, scale down, whatever it is, to put yourself in the right spot is, and just be patient with it, because it's all going to fall together. There's steps.
And the thing about scaling, I'm glad he brought up scaling, is, to me, you should never scale the movement. You should never scale the movement. You know, take time and talk to your coach about, well, I can't get into this deep squat. Don't scale the movement. Scale the weight, scale the intensity, pace it if you have to. What are some other tips that you could give to a new patient about scaling?
Backing something down as simple as it can possibly go. So I know I've seen Lou do a pull-up. I've seen Lou do a hollow pull-up. But even with the people that can do those things, we can probably find a flaw somewhere in his hollow body. If he can lay on his back on the floor in his hollow position, and he can only hold that for X amount of time, maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 8 minutes, we can make that longer. We can make his base position a lot better, and then we can pick the next hardest thing that isn't miles ahead of the next hardest thing. So when we're trying to backtrack that, if he can do something but it's iffy, what's the smallest thing we can back it down to find the spot that he should start at? Where can we reverse test somebody to find a hole that we can
reverse engineer it that way? And that's my favorite thing about Colin is he doesn't really scale. He never scales the movement. He's always trying to figure out a way in which we can work with you. And you know, a lot of the times, you know, members come in, they don't even talk to their coaches. They don't even tell them, like, look, I can't do this movement. But if you're a coach watching this video, you should also be, you know, a professional, and you should look at what your members are doing. And if you feel like that member is on shaky ground, then you should maybe pull them aside and say, okay, look, I get it, I see what you're doing, it's fantastic, but let's just maybe move it down to a step below. You know, in CrossFit, It's a lot of lower leg, it's a lot of squatting. You know, if you see, let's just use an example, Colin. If you saw me do a squat where I was using a lot of my low back into this position, what is maybe 1 or 2 progressions below that we can maybe scale?
So if you've got weight on your back,
yeah,
and we're squatting like that, that's not something we'd call a squat, but we can.
No. So the first thing we do is
get it as far back as you can go.
Right.
Go all the way down to an air squat. Go all the way down to, and he's saying we don't want to scale the range of motion.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, if we have somebody, maybe we have geriatric population people who they physically can't get down to even a higher level. It's hard for them to sit on a couch, sit on a bed, sit on a chair, go to the bathroom, all that stuff. There's going to be some base level that we can go to.
Yeah.
And if he moves like he just did,
right.
There's a lot of problems, and you just kind of start from the ground up and see what we can fix it with no weight, not necessarily what's wrong with his 200-pound back squat, what's wrong, not even his 150-pound back squat. It's not a matter of taking the poundage down. Reverse it all the way to something that you can and double check that.
Which is what's important, right? He took off all the weights, and he's making you do an air squat. There's no shame in doing an air squat. I do air squats all the time. There's no shame in it, right? You do it with your patients or your members all the time. I do it with my patients all the time. And it's really just trying to clean up that movement so that you are able to use the weight, you can do it under intensity, you can do it under duress, and you're doing the movement clean so that you're not going to hurt yourself. Okay?
Basic stuff.
Basic stuff. Okay? I mean, where do we want to go from there?